Hey everyone, Joey here, back with another quick DIY video, and I want to address something called the mental trap of comparing your success to others. Does that sound familiar? Anyways, it doesn't really matter what category it is. It could be a career, a skill set, creative output, family, physical fitness, money, whatever. I think we've all probably fallen prey to this toxic way of thinking at one point or another since we were children. And it's kind of easy to be oblivious to the truth that it probably took a substantial amount of time and effort for a successful person to be where they are now. Setting too high of expectations on yourself at the beginning, it can be mentally paralyzing and lead to burnout. And I'm not talking about hopes, dreams, and visions, but more from a practical approach. When you're consistent for a substantial amount of time, you'll see the results you desire, plain and simple, really. The results, they compound over time before typically seeing a noticeable change. And then it looks like the result just came out of the blue. This is a big reason why people typically quit before they see any real results. The attitude is as pointless as watching grass grow if you're doing that. So, one of my favorite quotes actually is by a visionary named Neville Goddard, and it has to do with faith, not the type of faith that you find in religion, but as it relates to creating what you want in your life. Neville Goddard said, faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. And his lectures and stories are something that I've frequently revisited over the years, and they serve as a reminder to stay on my chosen paths when I can't yet see my desired results. So, having a clear plan of action is key. And to be able to continually fine tune the plan as you go is also crucial. I can't emphasize this enough. Being truthful with yourself is also very important. If I can't actually chart my pursuits in a tangible form, then I'm only guessing as to how much time I'm actually putting in on each thing. So by logging my hours, it serves greatly as a way to be honest with myself. And I don't entirely agree with Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours theory, but that's a whole other discussion. Maybe in your head, it feels like you clocked 20 hours on something, but you really only put in 7 or 8. But you'll never know unless you actually write it down in a log or a ledger, right? And maybe what you're doing might require a substantial amount more than 20 hours to really see any results. And being honest with yourself, you must become okay with accepting that something might take a long time before you actually become good at it. And that thing might just be one component of this overall thing you're trying to become great at. Do you recall how many times you fell off a bicycle when you first learned to ride without training wheels? How many feet did you get each time before you fell? How many houses did you pass on your block before you inevitably fell off your bike again? And then one day you just rode without falling. And you seem to have forgotten the whole long and arduous process that it required. Maybe you were having so much fun in the process of trying that it didn't seem like it required as much time and effort as it did. The same experience happens when you break a limb and you have to have a cast. When the cast is finally removed, in hindsight, it didn't seem like you wore it as long as you did. This is a very common experience with people. So, why are so many people unwilling to pay the dues in what it takes to achieve anything substantial without becoming envious or jealous of others who have achieved something of note? Partially, I think it has to do with wanting something for nothing, being conditioned by our instant gratification society. Even thinking that pop stardom and celebrity status, as shallow as it could be, is attained without having to do anything to achieve it. It continuously comes back to being capable of finding joy in the process. The concept of being autotelic, which is finding intrinsic motivation and enjoyment in an activity for its own sake, not for the outcome, has been brought to the masses in a great book called Flow. A lot of you, I'm sure, have read it, and I'm not going to mention the author's name because I'm going to butcher it, okay? But look it up, look up the book Flow. Autotelic, it can be developed through conscious effort and practice by cultivating a mindset that focuses on the process of the activity rather than the external rewards. And developing an autotelic personality is a very solid method in improving the quality of your life. This is a major clue as to how people who have accomplished proficiency, mastery, and great achievement operate. They not only have a clear plan of how to make their visions a reality, but they are blissfully enmeshed in the process of its development. They are people who typically aren't jealous or envious of other successes, but rather view it from a point of inspiration and camaraderie. So if you're pursuing a creative path and haven't read Flow, I highly recommend it as a great place to start for overhauling your mindset and establishing a great foundation for a successful outcome. And more importantly, it's not just read the book, but reread it and learn to implement the concepts and develop that autotelic personality that will lead you to those visions, hopes, and dreams that you have. So thank you for tuning in again. Like, subscribe, share, comment, whatever those things are that the folks like to say on YouTube. And please also subscribe to my Substack articles if you have not, or my Instagram or Facebook, of course, especially my professional Joey Altruda page. You know where to find me now. Ciao for now. And well, I'll see you on the flip side.